All right, guys, welcome again. I am back for another episode of Behind the Visual. This time, I am talking with Ken Zane again. Ken and I are catching up on everything that's happened to him since our first talk together back not long after the lockdown with COVID. So lots happened. Ken was living in San Francisco at the time. He is now living back in Chicago, where he was living before he moved to San Francisco for 5 years. He's now with a great big agency that he loves. So you'll have to hear about that. We also talk about things that have gone on, how he moved over there, what led to him moving to Chicago. We talk about what he looks for or how he finds photographers. So whether he uses source books or just uses the knowledge he has in his brain. We also talk a little bit about AI and how actually it can benefit photographers. So this is kind of a catch-up episode of seeing what he's been up to since the last time we talked. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Check it out. Let me know what you think. And yeah, like it, subscribe, thumbs up it, all that kind of stuff. Thank you. Anyways, what's happening, man? How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I
It's
am
been a
good.
while. How was your birthday?
My birthday was good. We were down in Hilton Head just hanging out and I think we went down on the beach for a little bit. We grilled out burgers at the house and it was laid back, which at this point in my life, I'm totally fine with. Got a couple of little presents. Both girls were in town and hanging out with us, which is rare.
Amazing,
Yeah,
amazing.
so it was good. I cannot complain. Yeah.
Good.
How
I'm
you been
glad.
doing?
I've been good. It's been busy. Just started packing. I have a shoot in Montreal, so I'm excited about that.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
That's
I love Montreal. I haven't been there in 15 years.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard a lot of people shooting in Canada now.
They are. Mostly Toronto. I just had a shoot in Vancouver, which was beautiful. It was the first time I've ever been there.
Oh wow.
Beautiful city. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never been to Canada at all.
Really?
Yeah, I would like to go, but I've never even crossed the border at any point anywhere in Canada.
Wow. Well, you'll have to go some point.
I'm hoping. Yeah, I was talking to somebody the other day who was up there. They're like, yeah, it's great. You really need to get up there, find a job up there and go or something. I can't remember what we were talking about, but they're like, yeah, you need to get up there and check it
Exactly.
out.
Yeah,
But
Montreal's beautiful, and old Montreal is very much you feel like you're in Paris.
really, okay,
It's
that would be nice because that's a much shorter trip too.
exactly. And then Toronto is very, very similar to Chicago.
Okay.
When I'm in Toronto, I feel like I'm still in Chicago.
All right. Okay. So tell me, last time you were on the podcast, you
Yes.
were freelancing
Yes.
and you were in San Francisco.
Yep.
So how did you get to where you are now? And tell me where you are now and all that.
It's kind of a long story, but I'll try to make it short. Yeah, San Francisco was there for 5 years. I'd always wanted to live there, and it was an incredible experience. Honestly, it's not quite the same city as it used to be. There are
Right.
changes out there. But anyway, during the course of my travels, I was in Chicago, visiting friends, and it happened to be the summertime, and everybody falls in love with Chicago in the summertime. And I'm like, I've lived out here twice already. And I kept thinking about the fact that it still feels like home. And the agency that I'm currently working for, and I'll backtrack into that story in a
Okay.
second, has an agency out here. And now that COVID's over, people are going back into the agency.
Right.
The norm is pretty much 2 or 3 days a week.
Okay.
People could still work from home. And I spoke to my manager about it, and she was very excited about the idea. And all my friends are still out here, and coworkers and peers who I used to work with, and it just felt like the right move. And by sheer luck, I happened to find an amazing apartment right on the beach, and
Nice.
said, yeah, I said, it's time to do it. I miss my view of the Golden Gate Bridge from my old apartment. But as I said, I had a great 5 years out there and I'm excited to be out here. But during the course of my freelancing, um, one of the producers who I know from the agency, Annie, had reached out to me and she said, would you be interested in freelancing with the option for full-time? And I said, of course, because as you know, Mark, that was my ultimate goal. I was
Yeah.
very transparent about that. It's like freelance for now. When I find the right fit, I'll go full-time again.
Right.
And fortunately, hold on, let me shut that off. Fortunately, it was a great fit. The people I work with are incredible. The accounts are fantastic. The art production team works very, very synergistically. And after freelancing with them for a year, they offered me a full-time job. And I was more than excited to accept. So,
Can you say where?
yes, at VMLY&R.
There you go. Yep.
So I'm really excited. I mean, the interesting thing about it is during COVID, everybody's working remotely.
Hmm.
We have agencies all over the country. They actually allowed me to stay in San Francisco, though we didn't have an office then, but the office was open probably about two years ago. So I was actually able to go into the office like once a week at the beginning. Um, but I work with the agencies in Miami, in New York, in Chicago, in Kansas City,
Oh,
in
wow.
Atlanta. So we're basically still working, like all the producers basically work with all the agencies in all the cities.
Okay.
The great thing about the Chicago office is a lot of people who I've worked with on teams are in that office. So it's great to see them in person. Coincidentally, a lot of people I worked with me at Leo Burnett and ARC. So I kind of feel like I'm at home and I have years of relationships. And my coworker, Karen, who I absolutely adore, wonderful, wonderful producer, she joined the team full time pretty much right after I did. So it's so wonderful just to be surrounded by people who are supportive, who you know, and have relationships with.
Oh, that's amazing.
Uh,
That's very cool.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it's like when I go into the office or, even when I'm talking to coworkers, I pinch myself sometimes because I'm like, oh, this is really great. So I'm really excited to be here. Um, Production wise, I do travel a lot. So that is interesting because after not traveling for a couple of years during COVID, you're not used to it.
Right. Oh,
Now,
yeah.
now I'm kind of like a pro. I should pack and get the bags out and ready for the next shoot.
Yeah. Well, it seems like it all worked out because I know it was a little sketchy for a minute.
Oh, it was. I mean, it was very scary during lockdown. I think
Yeah.
for all of us,
Oh, yeah.
for yourself, photographers,
Well,
illustrators, and CGI people, I don't think so much because they work remotely anyway.
yeah.
But for
Yeah.
all of us who are client facing, it's scary because you don't know what's going to happen. And with all the variants coming out, you just never knew. I mean, I've been vaccinated over and over.
Mhm.
And probably the most interesting thing I've noticed is that COVID protocols on set have really lightened up in the
Oh, yeah.
beginning. Yeah. In the beginning, when I started traveling, it was pretty intense. And now it's just a matter of literally we still test on that, but it's definitely lighter. Um, People have the options of wearing masks on set or not.
Right.
Yeah, and if we're shooting outdoors on location, I would say I probably haven't seen anybody in a mask.
Yeah. I don't, yeah. Inside, I'll see one or two people wearing a mask if we're shooting in studio, but if we're shooting on location, rarely do I see. Maybe a makeup artist will put one on for a minute when they get
Sure.
close to the model or something, but most of the time, nobody's putting on a mask anymore. I do have a friend who just did a shoot um, for a TV program, and they made him go get the PCR test and all that, which I hadn't had that happen in over a year. I had to go. well, maybe not every year. I had to do some own at-home tests, but I hadn't had to actually go and be tested in over a year. I've had some where I had to, do the test and send a picture of my negative test to them. But even that stopped in the last 6 months, I'd say.
Wow.
Yeah. But
Yeah. It's amazing how it really became the new reality, and people kept talking about how this is going to affect our lives basically, and it really has. And I think in a sense it changed for the positive. I think working from home is wonderful. I find a lot of my peers who I speak with say they're more productive. You're not spending as much time traveling, so you're actually able to do more work,
right.
and you're definitely able to focus. If
Yeah.
you hear the banging up there, forgive me, they're
Yeah.
doing construction on the apartment above me, so I
Oh,
don't know.
okay. No problem. It's all right. Yeah, I've heard a lot of people say that they enjoy the working from home because they can be more productive, but they at the same time they kind of miss that whole camaraderie and the ideas that flow when they're together. So I think from what I'm getting is a lot of people I've talked to seem to like the hybrid thing where you go in for a couple of days
Yep.
and then you hang out and you're at home part of the days as well.
Oh, it's great. I mean, all of us producers actually sit together, which is
Okay.
really nice. Like we found our own area in the office that we use. So it's great. And, I appreciate getting into an office where I can actually use a printer and it's very work friendly as opposed to my dining room table where it's
Right.
just things scattered all over the place. And I'm still very old school. I like to print things out. If I'm
Mhm.
looking at estimates, I want them printed out in front of me so I can go through line items side by side as opposed to, moving everything around on my screen and my laptop.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm the same way. I had something the other day. I downloaded it was a PDF of something, and I just immediately printed it out. Just because I like to be able to hold it in my hand. I like to be if I want to make notes on it, I can just take my pen and make notes on it, and I don't have to. I don't know something about having it on the screen. I'll still keep it so I can pull it up on my phone if I'm on set and I can't get to my printout. Say my
Mhm.
printout's in my camera bag or my digital tech has it, and I'm someplace else. I like to have it on my phone, but I always print it out so I can write little notes and stuff on it for myself.
Yeah, there's definitely something wonderful about a printed piece. Recently, we had a rep come in because now people are starting to come into the office for
Mm-hmm.
portfolio reviews and whatnot. And it was so refreshing just to look at an actual book as opposed to seeing everything on a website or an iPad.
I was going to ask you since you brought it up, how much of that do you see? Because I had some meetings in New York recently, and I had my iPad with me because the time I've been there before, I went to lunch with an art producer, and she looked down and saw my portfolio bag. She's like, "You have a printed portfolio?" I was like, "Yeah." She goes, "Why?" I was like, "I don't know, because I like it, I guess, because I kind of like the whole printed thing."
That's funny.
Yeah.
I
So,
yeah, I think it's a personal thing, but I think it's also people have gotten so used to seeing the visuals, on a laptop or an iPad that I don't know, I guess they forgot what it's like to hold a real book. I grew up on portfolios and books, and so I love it. And I know a lot of my coworkers love looking at portfolios as well.
I
But
like
not
them as well.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean that's great too. I mean, there's a larger iPad that I've seen presentations put on, and
Hmm.
that's fine as well.
Yeah, I had the I guess it's the Pro or the iPad, the bigger one. I had like the 11 by 4, the 11 by 9 by 12 or whatever it is. I don't even know how big it is, but it's the bigger one. It's not like a regular iPad. It's the bigger version.
Exactly. That one I'm totally fine with.
Yeah, so I noticed my last time in New York, nobody seemed only one person. There was one person I could tell when I went to meet with her, and she was like, "All right, let's see some of your work." And I pulled out the iPad, and I saw this look on her face. And she's older. She's been in the business. She's been a producer for 25 years or something like that.
Wow.
And I saw this look on her face that was just like, "What's this?" And I could tell she would rather have had a book. But then I had another meeting with a guy, and we didn't even look. I pulled out the iPad and said, I've already seen your stuff on the website. Let's just chat. We didn't even look at my work because he had
Wow.
already looked at it all on the website. So we just sat there and talked for about 45 minutes about.
Yeah, that's the funny thing. I mean, I've met photographers who literally will come in or they'll set up a Zoom and they'll show me their website, which obviously I've looked at.
Right.
It's basically just a matter of getting to know how the person thinks, how they like to work, what their inspirations are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I try if I have like the stuff on my iPad for my portfolio, it's the stuff that's buried deeper in my website. So there's maybe one shot, say I'm showing a project or a series or a job I've done. There's probably one shot on there that's on my overview page of the website. And then the next two or three or whatever it is, images are from deeper in the website where you have to actually go into the projects page, click on that one, and then see it. So it's not like everything that's just on my overview page on my website. Because I figure hopefully you've already seen it. I figure
Yes,
most of the time, if you agree to meet with me, you're probably going to look at my website first before wasting your time. And,
absolutely. Absolutely.
but you
No,
never know. Some people have been like, okay, so let me see your work. And I'm like, okay. And I can't tell who's looking at my website, but I can tell, say, if your agency has a server and you look at my website through the agency server. So say I send you an email going, hey, can you meet with me? And then you're at the agency and you go to look at my website through your server. I can tell somebody at the agency looked at my website. And there are a lot of times where I'll send out a thing and most of the time they'll come back, if they say yes, I can tell they look. But occasionally they'll say yes and I go and they'll see they didn't look. They just agreed to it based off, I guess, the one shot that's in my email. Or maybe they're just willing to meet any photographer to ask them at that point because they were bored or something. I don't know. But so I figured most of the time that everybody's looked at the website and checked it out and seen it. Do you ever use source books?
I do. I do.
Yeah, because I'm trying to figure out that part too. I know some people are like, no, I never use them, and some people say, yeah, they do use them.
I do. I think they're super, super helpful if you're on a tight time crunch and you just want to make sure that you're seeing photographers that are just not in the library in your head. I think
Right.
all of us producers have this library in our mind where as soon as we see a concept, we're like, oh yeah, how about, these photographers, and hold their links up. And then after that, I'll usually go to a source book and type in what I'm looking for and see if there's anybody else who might be newer who I didn't think of.
Yeah.
So I find them definitely helpful.
Okay. Cool. Well, that's good to know.
Yeah. So what do you think about this whole new AI trend?
Dude, I don't know. The thing about at this point, and I know it's going to change, at this point, most of the time I can tell it's AI.
Yeah.
There's something about it, but I'm going to guess a year from now, 2 years from now, tops, you're not going to be able to tell the difference.
Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing work right now from photographers where I actually can't tell the difference, except that everybody looks so perfect.
Yeah,
And,
yeah,
and
I think that's what it is. It's just kind of this perfection in it.
yeah, but they look seamless in their backgrounds. It's
Oh
like I've
yeah,
been doing a lot where we're shooting in studio and then taking stock and combining it through retouching.
yeah,
And I'm almost finding that the AI stuff is starting to look more realistic than doing that.
yeah.
It,
I think it will. I think especially for any kind of stock thing. I think if it's something where, say, your client doesn't have to have something specific
mhm.
for them, I think AI. Like if you say it's for, I don't know, a retirement community or something, and you just want to show people hanging out, laughing, doing whatever the hell they do at retirement communities, you could probably go into AI and instead of going to stock, you go into AI and say, I want AI, I want people in their 60s or 70s, having a couple of drinks, playing cards in a library or something like that. And boom, you'll have it. And and you'll be good to go. And you don't have to go to stock. I think it's going to hurt stock photography, I would think. Sure.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the fence. I mean, I really need to educate myself more on the whole AI process, but
Mhm.
I definitely see that there could be a lot of complications with copyright because basically images are being pulled from everywhere.
Yeah, that is the one thing I've heard. There's some photographers or some agencies who are suing the AI people
Mhm.
because of that, because you can tell they're taking part of their photography and
Exactly.
using it. And I saw
Yeah.
some, my wife Tammy sent me a thing the other day. It was a chick who had her headshots. She said, had told AI to do her like random headshots, and they were amazing.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, so it was her, and then whatever they did, I mean, they put her in these different scenarios and they looked legit. It
Wow.
was, yeah, that was a little scary. I was like, oh, that could hurt.
Yeah. And then it's, it's a fine line because you can't really say, okay, this is transformative usage
Right.
because you're still able to identify the source that the images actually, not just the
Right.
images from, because they're all pulled together.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know what's going to happen when it comes to copyright and all that kind of stuff. And I know this guy who used to work for Tammy, he and this other dude, they went off and started their own online game, and you
Hmm.
had to buy these NFT cards. And they were designing the cards at first, and they were just running into like, well, if we use people other than our friends to make these, like, it was a train game, so like conductors and this kind of stuff. Like if we use people other than our friends, we're gonna have to worry about copyright. So they were just like, screw it, and they just started doing everything AI. So at this point, they haven't had any issues with it. But I guess you never know down the road. But they were just doing AI stuff where they were using their own faces and having it changed, changing their faces. So I guess like use me and then add a beard to me, or add a mustache to me, or change my eye color or whatever. And they were making all these train conductor and whoever else works on a train, I guess, cards when they had to have people. And they looked cool. I mean, but it looked like, it would look like it was a digital representation of whatever they were doing. But I think that's what they were going for at the same time as well.
Sure, sure.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm interested to see how it goes. I know some photographers are freaked out about it, and I think it's not going away. So you got to, as a photographer or as anybody creative, whether it's at an ad agency or photography or illustrator or whatever, I think you're going to have to figure out how to work with it. And because I think it's like the music industry trying to fight digital downloads.
Right, right.
You're
I do.
not going to be able to fight it.
Yeah, I mean, I do find a lot of photographers jumping on the bandwagon and truly embracing the whole AI experience.
Mhm.
That's whatever you create, I believe, is not an image that you could legally license. So
Right.
I think a lot
Probably
of, yeah, I think a lot of photographers are using it more as a tool
I
where
think it
they'll
would be great for doing like storyboards.
exactly. So I know a few photographers doing it in exactly that way. So it's basically becomes a presentation, maybe for their treatment or to the client saying, hey, here's what I'm envisioning shooting for you for this campaign. Obviously, it won't be this image because legally we can't use it. But instead of doing a storyboard, you're doing an AI board. And that I could see as a very useful tool.
Yeah, I could too. I mean, I think that would be, especially if you don't already have something, because that's happened before. I've been putting together a treatment and I'm like, okay, I know I have something similar to what they're asking for, but it's just off a little bit. It would be nice for me to kind of show in my head exactly what I'm seeing in my head to show
Exactly.
them what I would like to shoot, because this is close, but it's not exactly in what I'm seeing for the shot. So I think, yeah, AI would be amazing for that.
Oh, definitely. I
Especially
agree.
if I could upload like an image that I already have and say, okay, now take this image now, add this, do this, whatever to it, and tweak that whole image to be exactly how I want it to be for that client. Then that would be unbelievable.
It's so true. Very true.
Yeah, that would be very
Ma-
cool.
Mark, I think it's so wonderful that you've kept this podcast going for so long.
Thank you. Yeah, I've tried. It's definitely slowed down. The more people have started back to work, and the more I've started back to work, it's definitely more of a random posts now, random episodes going up at different times instead of once a week like it used to be or whatever. But I'm enjoying it, man. I'm really enjoying it, doing it, and it's fun to talk to people that I've never talked to, and then like catch up with you again right now.
Which is great.
Yeah, so it's been really fun. Yeah, I hope I can keep it going.
Yeah, you
Or I
have.
get so busy that I can't keep it going. One or two.
I know that's what happens with mine. I just got so busy with work and I was traveling all the time. It was impossible. And I
Oh
didn't
yeah.
want, yeah, I just didn't want to keep canceling on people. So for now, it's kind of put to rest until, I don't know, we'll see.
Well, yeah, I mean, totally. I mean, I can see because if you're working a lot, then when you have your downtime, you're like, I don't want to have to, work anymore.
Oh
And it's
yeah.
not even like this, I don't consider work. Like talking to you right now, it's when you have to go back in later. The work part is the editing part, going in and adding the intro, tweaking, editing, whatever. That's the work part. And maybe if I had somebody who did that, then I would do a lot more. Even when I was working a lot, I'd probably be like, all right, I have 30 minutes, an hour, I can go talk to somebody, not a problem. And then send it off to somebody else. Say, here, edit this, put it together. And I'd probably do more of them then, but I would try and get some more, especially with these catching up ones because they're a little bit shorter. I think I can handle that for sure. Yeah, but it's been good. Thank you. And yeah, I enjoyed yours when you had it. So if you put it
Okay.
back up, definitely.
Yeah, I think about it every so often, and then all of a sudden a trip comes up, and I find a lot of my shoots are running through the weekends because
Oh yeah.
yeah, I was thinking to myself, okay, great, maybe I could like dedicate one weekend day, at least 3 times a month to it, and then something comes up. So
Yeah. Yeah. I got like this is the first, well, this will be the first weekend coming up that I haven't had anything to do in probably 2 months. I haven't been anywhere or had something to do. So, and I thought I was going to do some yard work, but evidently it's supposed to rain all day today, all day tomorrow, and part of Sunday. So,
wow.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like poor California got hit so hard with the rain.
Oh, yeah. My God. They got nailed between the rain and the snow. Somebody said they had like 60 feet of snow in Northern California.
Yeah, it's crazy. My friends tease me. They basically say you got out just in time. And then here I am in Chicago, and it's only snowed twice.
Really?
Yeah, and our big storm that we were supposed to have last week kind of blew over, and I think it flurried for a total of 5 minutes.
God.
So go figure, global warming.
I guess. Yeah. Our friend who left Richmond went out to California for a little while, and the snow was so deep that it had covered up her car completely, and she would dig it out to go to her car, and the next day it was basically almost covered up again
Wow.
because she was out, some out in the middle of nowhere, someplace in some little cabin that she was staying in. And I talked to her. I was like, "How's it going?" And she was like, "It's good, but I got to get out of here. I've got a flight tomorrow." And she sent me pictures. And I was like, yeah, there's no way you're making it out of there. And she didn't. It took her another week before I think she actually left.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, you definitely got out in time for sure. So anything else you want to chat about before we head out of here? That's
Um,
happened with you that's been exciting?
just yeah, things are good. I mean, the move was very stressful going cross country.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and then renovations on the apartment. As you know, renovations are no fun because if they say it'll take a month, it'll take a year.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Whenever yeah, we had some renovations done when we moved in this house, and the guy was like, "Oh, we have it done in like a week." And I was like, "Uh-huh." That means at least a month. Yeah, I know how that goes.
But
Yeah.
again, it's super exciting. We have so many diversified clients. I'm shooting everything right now from lifestyle to product. I even did my first truck shoot, which was
Really?
interesting because, yeah, I've never shot trucks before.
Wow.
That was for ArcBest. It was a really amazing production. I found some really wonderful line producers that I've been working with that I didn't know about a couple of years ago. So that was great.
Very
And
cool.
yeah, it's great. It keeps you on your toes. It keeps you fresh. I've been doing a lot of illustration work. and CGI. So that's been really, really exciting. So it's always fresh, and every project feels like you're kind of starting all over again, but you know what you're doing, but like
Right.
new clients, new creative directors, new account people you're working with. So it's great.
Well, that's good. It keeps it from getting boring.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
Are you doing much motion?
I actually don't do much motion. I'll pick up little bit of video if it's like part of a still production, but at the agency we all have our own specialties.
Okay.
So it might be like a post-print producer, a art producer, a motion producer, broadcast.
Right.
So it's kind of really departmentalized.
Well, that's probably good.
Oh, it's great. It's great. And we all get to work together anyway. I'm working with a wonderful producer now for the project that I'm working on.
Well,
And
cool.
and the whole thing is it's you work together synergistically, and then then it works out.
Yeah. Well, it sounds amazing. I'm glad it worked out and that you ended up getting that back into Chicago and I found a job that you like and not something you took just because you had to have the money.
Oh, exactly. I mean, it just again, it was kind of fate. And when Annie reached out to me, I'm just like super, super grateful for her bringing me into this wonderful environment. And again, it's really nice to go into the office or get on a Zoom call with your coworkers, and you're just feeling like so lucky and happy. And when you work with great people,
Makes life a lot easier.
it's a win. Yeah, it's a win-win.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't get me wrong, there'll be challenges that might come. Clients might make last second requests, but you just got to flow with it, on a shoot, and you flow with it and make it work. And that's part of what we do. We're problem solvers.
Oh yeah. I think it's part of the client's job is to lull you into thinking everything is great and then all of a sudden go, oh wait.
Oh wait, can we add 4 more shots onto this?
Yeah. I
Even
know we
though
have 30 minutes before we go into overtime and we're not paying overtime, but can we try and squeeze in these four real quick in 30 minutes?
exactly.
For sure. Uh, well, Ken, thank you, man. I
Oh,
appreciate you coming back on here and chatting with me.
my pleasure. And thank you. And congratulations on everything and for keeping this podcast going and for your new rep. I'm very, very excited for you in the future.
Thank you, sir. Well, hopefully someday we'll actually get to meet in person. Maybe
I hope so. I mean,
we'll make that work out at some point down the road.
yeah, if you're in Chicago or if I'm down there, you never know. I was spending a lot of time shooting in LA. Now I found it's been a lot of production work in New York, which is fine because my family's based out there, and it
Oh
makes my
yeah.
mom happy when she gets to see me there. And
Well, yeah, if
yeah,
you end up in either one of those places or down south, let me know because I'm in both of those quite a bit.
that
Yeah,
sounds good. I will definitely do that.
sounds good. All right, Ken. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great weekend.
Thank you too. I'll talk to you later.
Okay. Bye bye.